Ladies and gentlemen, with the postseason starting tomorrow, I want to break down every first round matchup for you guys and give you some bold predictions, some hot takes. I am so fired up for this year's postseason. Let's get right into it here. For the sake of time, I'm not really going to go over these 1-8 matchups very much on either side. I believe that Oklahoma City and Cleveland will be able to take care of business pretty handedly here. Both of these teams had tremendous years. Congratulations to Oklahoma City for hitting that 68 win mark. This was a historically good team this year. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is most likely going to win the MVP this season. So just congratulations to them in the Western Conference. And then in the East, you have the Cleveland Cavaliers, another tremendous team that outperformed expectations. Kenny Atkinson really got the most out of his guys this year. This offense just took another step forward this year with Mobley, with Donovan Mitchell, and with Darius Garland. I believe that head coach Kenny Atkinson will win the coach of the year, but let's hop into the series that is going to be must-see TV, and we'll start in the Western Conference here. First of all, in this 2-7 matchup between Golden State and between Houston. Golden State, we all know their path to get here. They were struggling to even make it into the play-in the first half of the year. They were the 11 seed with just Steph, with just Draymond and the supporting cast. They would go out and get playoff Jimmy before the deadline. And now this team is all ready to go for the playoffs. And this is not a team I would want to see if I were the Houston Rockets. This team has been unbelievable down the stretch. You look at these postseason performances so far in the play-in from Jimmy and from Steph. These guys are ready to go. They combined for 75 points. Jimmy with 38, Steph with 37. This team is gearing up for a deep postseason run, in my opinion. And I think this is just a really tough draw for Houston on one hand. You have Golden State with all of the postseason experience in the world, maybe the most experienced team in the entire playoffs with Jimmy Butler and with Stephen Curry, with Draymond Green and Steve Kerr. And then on the other hand, Houston's two best stars in Alperen Sengun and Jalen Green have no postseason experience. And I understand that Ime Udoka, yes, has some playoff experience. He coached them to the finals, but it's a completely different ballgame when you get into the postseason and you have to go up against Steph and Jimmy and Steve Kerr and Draymond Green. It's going to be a really good series, but I have Golden State ultimately pulling off an upset here in a thriller in 6 games, beating Houston. But on the bright side, I believe that the Rockets are going to go out and get Kevin Durant. Let's stay in the West here in the 3-6 matchup. Just another tremendous series we have here on our hands. We broke it down a little bit on old head versus newcomer. But ladies and gentlemen, I have to take the Minnesota Timberwolves here. You have two great teams, but Minnesota has been red hot as we head into the postseason. They have seemingly been peaking at the right time. They've won 17 out of their final 21 games, and their record truly doesn't indicate how good of a basketball team this is. Minnesota was really banged up for most of the season with Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, and Rudy Gobert. They missed a period in the middle of the season, but now they finally got healthy to close out the year. That's the reason why they would win 17 of those final 21 games. Anthony Edwards has been unbelievable from beyond the arc this year, and he's really taken another step forward in his game. I look at Anthony Edwards' trajectory along with this Timberwolves team, and I can't help to think that, man, this team is going to be a really tough out for the Lakers. And of course, in the case of Los Angeles, they made this historic trade earlier this year to go out and get Luka Doncic, one of the biggest trades in NBA history. Nobody expected this. If you would have told me day one heading into the NBA season that Luka Doncic would be gearing up for the Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron James for a postseason run, I would have said, oh my goodness, everybody run for cover. Because that's how good he is in the postseason. He rises. He is a playoff riser. But so is Anthony Edwards. Nobody's giving them a chance, seemingly. Nobody's giving them a chance. I'm not a betting man myself, but I saw, according to these books and the amount of money that they're receiving, 99% of the money is on Los Angeles to win the series. That's unfathomable. Nobody's giving Minnesota a chance, really? Nobody gave him a chance last year. Anthony Edwards took down KD, Book, and Beal. Nobody gave him a chance against Denver. They took down the reigning defending champs. And ultimately, I think they just ran out of fuel when the Western Conference Finals came around. But if Anthony Edwards can step up and rise and be the player that we all know him to be, and Julius Randle can give some contributions, Jaden McDaniels can give some contributions, and the same thing with Dante DiVincenzo, I think this Lakers team is in big trouble. And this Cinderella story is going to come to a close with not a good ending in Los Angeles. And then in the 4-5 matchup, I mean, my goodness, we are just getting banger after banger after banger in this first round. And I cannot wait for the Clippers versus the Denver Nuggets. For the Clippers, we all know that they've been one of the hottest teams in basketball. And if you don't know, you're going to realize really quickly, just like the Timberwolves won 17 out of the final 21, the Clippers can do them one better. They won 18 out of their final 21 games. And Kawhi Leonard is seemingly on another level right now. He averaged nearly 27 points per game in the month of April so far. He averaged over 25 points per game in the month of March. This is a completely healthy Kawhi Leonard. This is a completely different team when he's healthy. They still have the beard. Ivica Zubac is playing at a defensive player of the year level. I think he could potentially be an all-NBA third team guy. And then, of course, you have Norman Powell, who is the biggest all-star snub this year, averaging over 20 points per game. This is a sneaky, sneaky team. They only had 2 nationally televised games all year long. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season, just like in the case of the Los Angeles Lakers, that the Clippers right now, with no Paul George and with a 50-50 Kawhi Leonard as we came into this year, I would have said there's no way they would be in the hunt like this. And they would be really on the cusp of being a legitimate contender. Like, that's how good they are. If they dominate Denver, I might have to do some thinking here as we head into this eventual Oklahoma City versus Los Angeles series. That's how good they can be. That's how good Kawhi Leonard can be. And then on the other hand, you have the best player in the world, Nikola Jokic, who's been unbelievable this year, who's personally my MVP. They fired Michael Malone in the middle of the year. Really was a big time surprise to everybody. But now they're in the postseason. Jamal Murray's ready to go. We know how he rises in the playoffs. What can they do to prove everybody wrong? Nikola Jokic gave out a terrifying quote the other day. The beast is the most dangerous when it's vulnerable. And I believe that to be true for the Denver Nuggets. You can never count out Nikola Jokic. You can never count out Jamal Murray when the postseason rolls around. These two make magic happen, and you could put these two guys up against any other duo in the league, and they would probably be the best at their peak. That's how good they can be. So this is going to be another tremendous series. I personally have to lean in the way of the Los Angeles Clippers. I can't let my emotions get in the way here because I think Jokic is so good and I think he's going to get snubbed of the MVP. But I just truly believe that the Clippers are one of the hottest teams in the NBA as we head into the postseason. They're peaking at the right time. Kawhi Leonard in any given series can be the best player on the floor. That's how good I believe him to be. And I think this Clippers team gets it done in 7 games. All right, now let's head over to the Eastern Conference. Like I said, not going to pay too much time in that 1-8 matchup. Cleveland's going to get it done pretty handily here. I have them winning in 4 games. On the other side, you have the Celtics versus the Orlando Magic. I'm, again, not going to really spend too much time on this one. I believe that the Celtics get this one done in 4 games. One of the best offenses in NBA history, speared by Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They put up the most 3-pointers in NBA history. They can get it done defensively. This is a dominant team, and I ultimately see them getting to the Eastern Conference Finals pretty handily. I just don't believe their season starts for another few weeks here. And then in this 3-6 matchup, you have a really interesting matchup between the surging Detroit Pistons at the 6th seed and the New York Knicks at the 3 seed. And for me, I just love what JB Bickerstaff has done. And I can't say enough great things about him because when I looked at this hire from Detroit at the beginning of the year, I'm like, the Detroit Pistons just did a Detroit Pistons. Honestly, that's what I thought. They fired Monty Williams after giving him a huge contract. And they went and got JB Bickerstaff, who was fired from Cleveland because he couldn't get enough out of them. And you see how good Cleveland this year is with Kenny Atkinson. So it's like, oh, JB Bickerstaff must be a bad coach because he couldn't get that out of his players. And all of a sudden, Detroit's now the 6th seed. Cade Cunningham might be a top 20 player in the league. So all the credit in the world to JB Bickerstaff here. And for New York, I feel like it's a complete 180 from what Detroit has done. I think they've massively disappointed this season. For the draft capital they gave up for Mikal Bridges, for the big time trade that they made to go out and get Karl Anthony Towns. They were ultimately trying to shrink the gap here with Boston. We all know that to be true. That's why they assembled this team with Jalen Brunson, with Karl Anthony Towns, with Mikal Bridges. That's why they did this, folks. And guess what? They were 0-4 against Boston. They were 0-2 against the Thunder. And they were 0-4 against the Cavaliers. They were 0-10 against the three best teams in the NBA. Why should I have any hope in this team making a deep postseason run? I ultimately think they're going to win this series just because Jalen Brunson's going to be the best player on the floor, and they better win this series. If they don't, Tom Thibodeau is going to get fired. But they'll win this series. But I look at a surging Detroit Pistons team, and I look at really a disappointing New York Knicks team. I think that they're going to play super tight in the playoffs. I really do. I think there's so much pressure on this team to try and make a deep run after the capital that they gave up to try and shrink this gap with Boston. And it seems like it's ultimately widened. So I do think that New York will win this series, but I fully expect Detroit to give them a serious run for their money. I think Detroit's going to win 2 games here. I see this going 6 games, maybe a 7th. I like this Detroit team. I love the way they play. I love the cohesiveness of this team. I see all these videos of them doing these dances pregame. Like, this is a team that truly is connected, and that's a fun squad to watch. I think that they can win 2-3 games in this series, but I'm ultimately going to give the edge here to the Knicks. But just a heck of a job. I just want to give flowers to JB Bickerstaff here, man. Heck of a job for turning around really his career, but also the Detroit Pistons. Great job. And then in the 4-5 matchup, the most exciting by far series in the East, you have the Milwaukee Bucks that everybody has seemingly written off against the surging Indiana Pacers. Indiana is a team that I've been super high on all year long, and this is like a coin flip for me. This is seriously me flipping a coin and picking heads or tails. That's how tough it is for me here. And I've gone back and forth all week long. On Monday and Tuesday, I thought for sure Indiana was going to win this series. And then I've been trending towards the Milwaukee Bucks. So now I've got to give you guys my official pick here. On one hand, you have Milwaukee. We all know what this postseason run means for Giannis, who hasn't played in the first round the last 2 years. They were the 1 seed 2 years ago and got bounced by Miami. They lost last year to Indiana. This is a big time rematch from last year. And you definitely have some antics, maybe a new little rivalry here with Halliburton doing the Dame time celebration in the in-season tournament last year. This is a series I'm really looking forward to. And I think Giannis has a lot to prove. I think at a certain point, he's become underrated. I really do. I think Giannis, I never thought I would say this. I think Giannis Antetokounmpo has become an underrated player in the NBA. The dude's putting up like almost a 30-point triple-double every season for like the last 5 years. It's like Jokic to a certain degree. He was Jokic before Jokic. No, Jokic is definitely more refined in terms of the shooting game and in terms of the passing game. But Giannis is right there. Giannis is that good. Giannis in any given series can be the best player on the floor. I have no doubts in my mind. And then on the other hand, you have the Indiana Pacers who have been really good in the second half of the season. Tyrese Halliburton's figuring it out. This offense plays with just a heck ton of pace. They put the pace in pacers. They've got guys who are not scared to give teams runs for their money. Like, they were young last year. That whole gimmick was good. They expect to win now. They know what's out there now. They gave Boston their toughest series last year. Andrew Nembhard was a dog when Halliburton missed some games. So this is going to be just a really fun matchup. But for me, I've got to give the benefit of the doubt here to the Milwaukee Bucks. And I feel like I'm a broken record saying this. In the postseason, the superstars come out and you have to choose the better player. You have to give them the benefit of the doubt here. And I'm choosing Giannis. And I know Dame's status is up in the air, and I'm so happy for him that now that he's off that blood thinning medication because he had blood clots, hopefully he's able to make a return at some point in this series. But if it's just Giannis, I'm fully expecting him to literally average 40 points a game in this series. That's what I'm expecting from Giannis. And it's going to happen. They're going to win in 6 or 7. This is going to be a tremendous series. But ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a great first round of matchups. We are delighted for the most exciting time of the year in the NBA. So kick your feet up, enjoy some great food, and enjoy some great basketball. I'm Caden Kubler, and thank you guys so much for watching.